We're live. Live with the Money GPS. Welcome everybody in. I'm getting everything set up on my end. I want to thank you all for being here. We are talking about the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve, I'm live at the Fed, making sure that you're taken care of with all the information that you need. All right. Get everything going in here. Okay. I saw all the comments. I knew that I had to make another video on this. Fed won't taper. Okay. All right. We'll see. Hello, everybody. Wave runner. Is the assumption that you have here that they will not taper because that will affect the markets negatively? Is that what you're saying? No. Okay. What are you saying? Okay, asking for what is taper. Yeah. They can't taper. Everything collapses if they do. Okay. All right, guys. Stick with me. I got a bunch of stuff prepared. In fact, if I can somehow copy this over, I could show you guys what I've written out. I'm planning on making a video tomorrow morning. How can I do this? I'm planning on making a video tomorrow morning where you'll see that, and I'm gonna make my arguments for why this is absolutely possible. Just give me a second here. Hello, welcome everybody coming on in. Thank you for being here today on the Money GPS Live. Thank you for being here. I'm just trying to get something to show you. I'll just show you while I'm doing it here. Oh, this is terrible. One second, guys. Having some technical difficulties. Welcome in. Hello, everybody on Instagram. I didn't even bother with TikTok. What the heck is going on? Sorry, one sec, everybody. We're talking about taper today. Talking about taper. A lot of people saying not going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen exactly, but the suggestion that they will not taper, in my opinion, is not accurate. We'll see. All right, that's better. Perfect. Okay. So we're going to talk about this. I'll share it 2 or 3 times throughout because people come in and out. So I'm going to share something on the screen momentarily. Wait for a few people to get in here. We got 89 people in the house. Alex, thank you. Did you hear about IMF bribe Belarus? Look it up. Prove why governments are listening. Interesting. I didn't hear about that. That is interesting. I will check it out. There's all kinds of wacky things going on. I'll tell you that. I will tell you that. And the IMF is that institution is just, it's corrupt to its core. It is absolutely corrupt to its core. So what does taper mean? Stick with me just for a moment. I have that all prepared on the screen. I'm going to show you guys in a second, just waiting for a few people to come in. In the meantime, I'll answer your questions. We're going to talk about what is the taper? What do they mean? What do they mean when they're talking about they're going to taper or not taper? Interest rates, all the whole deal. If you stay tuned to tomorrow's video, tomorrow morning's video, I'm going to be able to get into it at length. I'm going to explain the whole thing. I'm going to have all the charts you need to know, like all that. But today I'm going to get to the core elements in the live. So that's why the live is fantastic. When I was doing it every day, I was able to show people the article that you would see in the next morning. So you're like ahead by like 12 hours. It was too much probably for every day, but now I'm doing this on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I hope you guys appreciate this one. I get a lot of positivity for people during the lives. So now what I do is I enable the feature that automatically makes it go unlisted instead of me manually doing it, because some people will they would see that video, they would try watching the live, and they get very upset at me. They send me emails about how they dislike it and so on. So look, if you're in the live, you watch the live and you can ask me questions directly. And if you don't happen to make it to the live, no worries. The daily video is still there for everybody to check out, which is great. So I just had so many, I wouldn't say hate mail, but people that were very they weren't pleased about seeing live videos in their feed. So that's all. How long until the government implements the digital dollar? Well, if we believe what they say and that they haven't actually done anything at this point, they're just simply talking, they're having meetings and so on, then I would say that, it's still going to be a while. And then you look at, I think it would be good to look at China and what they're doing to give you a little bit of a timeline of how long it takes to go from testing to implementation. So I think personally, we're still a few years away. That like I said, that assumes that they're not testing in the back end, you know what I mean? So we'll see. All right. Momentarily, I'm going to be discussing. I have a bunch of text up here, so I'll show you. Insider trading, yeah, did a few videos about that. Is it insider trading? Is it not? I mean, to be honest, they've been very transparent as to what they're doing. You look at it and it's all there for everybody to see. Should they be doing this? Like, should the Federal Reserve be the ones to be printing money, buying up the mortgage-backed securities, buying up the treasuries, buying up the corporate bonds of different companies? Of course not. That's the problem. I think that's the real problem, not people like Kaplan taking advantage of it. He is, in my opinion, just like BlackRock is taking advantage of it, just like other people can take advantage of it. I think the system itself is rotten and corrupt. I'm on Odyssey already. If anybody is interested, I am on Odyssey. I tried to get on Rumble. I just posted a video yesterday on Rumble. So what I did is I posted it there. I tried to do the auto synchronization so that it would automatically pull the videos like it does on Odyssey. It didn't work. So I manually uploaded a video. At the same time, I contacted the support again, told them that I have a problem. They replied back to me saying the YouTube API isn't working. That connection isn't working. You could upload manually. In the past 24 hours of that video being live, I've had one view, literally one view. So I'm not sure there's much interest in it's only one video, but I'm not sure there's much interest overall. Like if I don't get a bunch of views, it takes a lot of time to upload it, to put the description, to put all the links, to the time, all that time that it takes. If there's one view, quite frankly, it's not worth it, because as a backup or as an alternative, I have Odyssey is doing it automatically. If people would watch it on there, a big group of people, then that would be great. I would post it there every day. Looking forward to the great deals. Yeah, absolutely. A crash would be a fantastic thing. If the stock market's correct, the Fed won't step in until they get worried. Yeah. What do you think about the growth? what do you think about the growth that the US fake media talks about? It's actually China's growth, not ours. Yeah, like I see what you're saying. Like, you manufacture something in China and then you sell it in Canada, US, UK. Like, who's really benefiting from that? It's arguable. It's arguable, but like I've talked about before, the supply chain, the logistics, the whole system, that the way that they've built China is a very, very well-oiled, organized machine. I could tell you that. It is far more advanced in that respect than most Western countries. How will tapering affect interest rates? So it actually, for interest rates, of course, the plan is leave them at zero. The trouble here is that they've got a lot of money that they have printed up at this point, and they don't have any room for error with their interest rates. So they need to be quick as possible without scaring the markets on the taper, and then start to increase interest rates so they have that cushion. That's the balance. Like that's the problem they're dealing with today. And we'll talk more about that in just a second. Thank you for the support. Thank you very much. Just told a friend last night that the Fed is not a government entity, the monetary system. Told her because she feels like major changes are coming. She knows the truth. Yes, yes, yes. Good. They're not. I guess they're a quasi-government in a sense that they work hand in hand with the government, but they are private. They have shareholders. It's not an unknown fact. Jerome Powell has even said that himself. So he said, "We are not part of the government." I think that's the actual quote. We are not part of the government. Okay, so we got about 200 people here. I would love to cover this information that I have right now, and then maybe in half an hour or so I can go through it again as new people come in. So let's take a look at it. I think this is the one. Hope you can see that. All right. Hang on a second, Instagram. I'm going through this, so listen up. First things first, when we talk about the taper, this could mean two different things. We could be talking about tapering the amount of money that they have in their balance sheet as a whole. Okay, that's one possibility. But what we're saying here is tapering the amount of money that they're printing every month. Taper is not a reduction in the balance sheet, is a reduction of how much money they're printing per month. So understand, printing $120 billion, they may print, the next month might be 105. That's the plan, apparently. 10 billion less of the treasuries, 5 billion less of the mortgage-backed securities. Next, many central banks have already begun their taper. This is already the case. The Bank of Canada has done that. The ECB just did that, I believe. I have to go through the article again. Australia has done this, I believe. There's many. In addition to that, there's already been 24 rate increases in 2021. And that's actually an old count, so it's probably higher. That's 24 rate increases already this year alone. This is a taper going on globally. Remember, the central banks generally move in the same direction. And this right here, this is the most important factor. All of those who don't believe that a taper is coming, please listen up. The Fed doesn't want to support the markets. They want to give the illusion that they are there to support the markets. The Fed wants to ensure that their shareholders' wishes happen. They want to make sure that the shareholders are taken care of. All right, we're talking about the JPs, we're talking about the Goldmans, the Rothschilds, and so on. We know who was there at the meeting of the initial setup back in 1913. We know who is enriched by all of the actions of the Federal Reserve, not the middle class and their 401k. Please, come on. A crisis, this is the key. A crisis is when maximum consolidation of power and control happens. 2008. 2000 to some degree, going back 1929, even better. The crisis is when they come in. What other? We have some examples. I'll show you in a second here. By the way, Oz weight loss. I see that you dropped your support there. Thank you very much. I can't switch back to show it on the screen, but thank you very much for that. The globalist elite always attain maximum wealth during these periods. This is the way that happens. Not during bull markets, please. That's not when they make their money. Not during the bull markets, okay? Think about the past and what has happened. The examples here: Greece forced to sell off islands, airports, and other assets when they had their big crisis. They excavated that country for all it was worth. That didn't happen when Greece was doing well. Hasn't been many years of it doing well. But that didn't happen during the prosperous times. That happened during the crisis. You understand? Warren Buffett buying so much during the financial crisis for pennies on the dollar. He swooped in. Bank of America at a discount. Citigroup. Citigroup is one. I don't know if he bought that. Now I'm confusing it with, he bought Geico. He bought, Bank of America he bought at a preferred share price. Preferred shared price. He didn't pay the price that they were selling for in the market. He paid his own price. He gets that benefit because he's part of the elite group. So you got to understand, when they bring the assets down, which they control, they are able to then come in, swoop in, and buy things for pennies on the dollar. They know which companies and which businesses and which sectors and which infrastructure are going to be needed in there and so on, because they're all connected. And then they can buy it for dirt cheap. They don't buy as it goes up, 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 up. Yeah, they might make purchases along the way, but that's not when the vast majority of their wealth gets deployed. If you don't agree with this, if it's against what you believe or something, you have to actually just look into it and understand when all the previous instances, how this has happened. It's not a surprise. It's not a shock. It's not weird. This is time and time and time and time again. Every single crisis, the globalist elite are there swooping in, buying it all up. That's a fact. And by the elite, please understand that when we're talking about the Warren Buffett level, Bill Gates level, like these are like low level in the elite world. Thank you for the support, Alex, as always. Do you think that there's a war between the different elite groups? Because it almost feels as though they are sleeping in the same bed. Even Prince Charles supports the Great Reset. I think they're all on the same page for the most part. I really do. I don't know how much of connection they have on these deeper levels, but I know, like, when you start to dig through and you start to realize like all these different secret societies and all these different groups and how they come together, and you start to really understand the connections, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, like Prince Charles, you can type in the search engine Prince Charles snub the tub. He literally told people in the UK it's bad for the environment, so don't take a warm bath. Don't take a bath, okay? Like, the guy has 122 servants, and he's telling people don't take a bath. Like, it's ridiculous. Thank you. Could they mean taper by selling back the stocks and bonds that they supported through the BlackRock tapering? No, well, what they mean specifically right now is what I was saying, but who knows what happens in the future? Like, they can go all out, but I think they ultimately want to accumulate more assets. That's what they want to do. How can they go in right now? How can the Federal Reserve go in right now and buy a whole bunch of stocks? Well, they can. They don't have the excuse for that. But suddenly the stock market drops in half. Stock market drops by 70%. You think that people are going to say, please, Federal Reserve, please buy the stocks? Of course they will. And now you're going to have the Federal Reserve buying stocks directly. They don't have an excuse now. BlackRock and all these different companies and how they're all interconnected, they need a crisis to be able to do these things. They never were able to do so before. All these special purpose vehicles that they set up during 2020 is going to be nothing compared to the next crisis. When that next crisis is coming, I don't know. By the way, I don't think a taper is going to immediately impact the markets at all. I don't think that. Does it have an eventual impact? Yeah, of course. But by then, we're already over $9 trillion on the balance sheet. It's not like they don't have a lot to deal with. What is this? What is a stupid comment? Delete your comment. Delete your comment immediately. All right, you're gone. Oh, we got some stupid people in here. This is the problem with social media. Ruins the party just ruins the party. Anyway, let's get back to it. No way the Fed tapers. I disagree. I think they love it. So the taper, I don't know if I'm going back up in the comments. I'm not sure if you heard my description earlier. I'm going to cover it again in about 20, 30 minutes or so. I'll just go over all that again. I went through a whole description of it. Canada they already have. They tapered previously from 5 billion a week. I think they tapered twice. I could be wrong about that. I'm confusing it. Let me see right now. If I could find this really quickly. Yeah, so I believe they were buying 5 billion per week. Could have been 4 billion, but now they're down to 2 billion. Okay, that's Canadian dollar. $2 billion in Canadian dollar per week, and previously they were at I believe 4 or 5 billion. So they've already done it. They've already done it twice. Taper does not mean reducing their balance sheet. Taper means reducing the amount of money they are printing on a given week or month. So we'll see. KYC, like know your customer. Awesome. Thank you for the support. Yeah. I hope you enjoy it. And what I recommend is give that book to somebody else. Once you're done with it, give that book to somebody else and share the love. Where's gold going? If I knew, I would tell you. I believe, like I always say, when all else fails, then they turn to gold. I haven't read his new book. I only read one of his books and seen many of his stuff online. I read Remember Who We Are, I think it's called. But he's got so many books and they're long, but they're good. Thank you. Tapering on the bond yields. I'm not, it's so messed up right now that I'm not really sure. We can go historically and see back to what they do, but things shouldn't be the way they are right now in the bond market. So it's all a mess. We'll see. We'll see in time. Repo Madness info. Yeah. It's coming in 5 days, actually. So within a week, I'll be able to give you information of what happened 2 years ago with the repos, who was that money pumped into, and it's going to be the usual suspects. It's the JPs, it's, all these companies here. Where would you say lives the most sane people? That's difficult. Today, there aren't too many. There aren't too many people left. I mean, if people are here, they're either weird. They're great people that are, so obviously on the lives, it's obviously everybody's great except for just a few weirdos. But in terms of the total society, unfortunately, it's been quite rotten. If you look at what people watch on television, it's really bad. I've seen like articles written about these shows. It's just disgusting, and people are watching. Canadian housing market. First of all, thank you for the support. Yeah, so it is 10. I think it was a stat I read. 10% of the GDP in Canada relies on the Canadian housing market. That is absurd. That's so crazy. And almost the same percentage of the jobs are in real estate or connected with it. Think about that. Think about how insane. And if interest rates start rising, the people with $1 million mortgages probably can't pay it. Oh, but the stress test. Yeah, sure. The stress test. And so I think ultimately what I'm trying to say is it relies heavily on a super low interest rate. And should that change, you've got a problem. You got a problem. If inflation keeps going up, people, they only have one thing that they can do. Actually, two things. They can let that inflation turn to hyperinflation, or they can increase interest rates. What do you think they choose? We'll see. Will Powell be nominated again? Maybe. Maybe. I don't think, it doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter because it's so insignificant. Like who's there? It doesn't matter. It's the people behind. It's the people behind this institution that matter. But actually, I should say the actions of the institution matter more than the people that you're seeing there. Yeah. So know your customer. Know your customer. Yeah. I don't know. I don't have a particular thought about it. I think like it's doesn't do anybody any good. I think personally. Because there's so much fraud and there's so much nonsense. I think it's funny that all these cryptos and things are built around sort of, not anonymity in many cases, but I don't know. And then you sign up to, you have to sign up to one of their apps or one of their services for crypto. And then they need to do the KYC. It's funny. They need to take your license. They need to take your passport. They need to, and why? Well, the government regulates that company that exists in that country, and they force them to do a KYC. So, yeah. Thank you for the support, Dominic. Do you think they're timing this taper to align with the restrictions to compound the negative effect on the economy, and conversely the market? I feel like there's something biblical soon. I don't know if it's just coincidence. I really don't. They're so overdue to taper the balance sheet. Like they're way behind. Like the biggest investors out there have been publicly saying, "Okay, Fed, you can taper now. You can taper now." They've been saying it for months and months. The economy is okay. It's going to be just fine. The inflation's getting too hot. You might want to start tapering now. You might want to start. Because you got to understand, they got to taper first. And then they can get to interest rates. So that's going to take, if they go on this pace, which is relatively aggressive, mid-2022, then they can start to talk. They don't want to do it immediately after, obviously. So you're looking at the earliest, the end of 2022 to increase interest rates. What's inflation going to look like by then? Think about where it is today in a year and a half almost. What's inflation going to look like? It's going to be disastrous. The only one solution to high inflation is higher interest rates. What percentage of classes are valuable for an economics major? There's probably not much. Like, it depends on, look, if you want to get a job in the field, then, maybe you could. But I think people could do what they want on their own. They could be their own investors. They could learn on their own and make more money than you would in some sort of profession like that. That's my opinion. I don't want to go to work tomorrow. 10% of the GDP. Yeah, it's crazy in Canada. How much heavily reliant on real estate. Yeah, so Afghanistan. Remember that it's all a show, right? All these different events geopolitically and it's just a show. Thank you for the support on Instagram. Appreciate that. Are ETFs safe to buy? So I think the ETF, as I talked about in my first book, provides people the easiest way to get into things they probably couldn't before. Like, were people going to buy oil futures before? They could. I mean, you can get into that, or maybe they had to buy ExxonMobil to get into oil, right? But now they can buy an oil ETF. Now that's great. The trouble is, for instance, with the S&P 500, people are like, I'm diversified now because I've got Vanguard's S&P 500. I'm diversified. I own all 500 of the stocks. But actually, you don't. You don't. You have the performance, but you only have one stock. And so I believe personally that if there is this cascading snowball domino effect that starts sending stocks sliding down, that we can have big problems with the ETFs. On the way up, they're amazing. On the way down, I believe that's going to be problematic. But like I said, it offers an opportunity that we really didn't have. Like financial crisis time frame, ETFs were still very small. Like it was a very small percentage. And now they're surpassing active investments. CBDC will actually start. Like I said a little while ago, you probably hadn't gotten in yet. How are you? So I think that it will be like we'll look at China, see how long it took them to go from beta test into fully, bringing it out there, and that'll give us an idea. I think unless they're working on it secretly, that it takes a few years. Just reading your comments here. So many comments. Thank you all for being here. 257 people in the house. And oh my goodness, 130 likes. You got to help me out. You got to help the GPS out. Hit it right here. Somewhere here. Somewhere in this region here. There's a like button. Hit that like button. Hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it. Awesome. As always, thank you for the support. Thank you. I'm trying to take this channel up to the next level. You're going to see some stuff over the coming weeks. I'm bringing it out. Started to already, and you'll see more coming out. So thank you all. All right. Commodity ETFs. Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm saying, if you believe that the bull market is persistent and so on, and your intention is to hold on through any sort of, if there's a bear market or whatever, right? Like you're going to hold on. I don't think there's too much of a problem unless there's some sort of insolvency with the company and so on. But because you got to remember, you're not buying. Remember this: you're buying when you buy an ETF. Like just say, for instance, even if it's oil futures or whatever, you're not buying oil futures. Okay, you're buying a stock, and that company is holding the oil futures. Even how they say GLD and SLV and all these different things, or even the so-called physical metals. Yeah, you can get it. Does anybody actually ask for their physical metal? Probably almost none of them. And if a lot of people start doing that, would you have a problem? You might. But anyway, the point about the commodities ETF is it offers an opportunity that you couldn't have before. That's why I like it. That's why I like it. But I think when times get tough, I think there could be a problem. Warning about inflation, 3 to 4% cost increases on beef and chicken. Everything is going up. I'm surprised it's only that 3 to 4%. Great show, Money GPS. What time frame do you see the U.S. government declaring bankruptcy, or is this even a possibility? I personally believe that they will opt to hyperinflate the currency before they will necessarily default. The other option here is that we have a global sort of default where everybody agrees to a new currency system, and this system could be based on, these central bank digital currencies. Once they all get the digital currencies, like even right now, the Biz is working with, I think I covered it here on the channel, 4 or 5 different central banks. And they're kind of making their own central bank digital currency, unifying with the Biz in the center. And that to me is frightening. So we'll see. Anthony, thank you for the support. Why I have stopped using my trademark tagline, "You came here for the truth." Yeah, I don't know. Do you guys like the tagline? I have, over the years, I've had a lot of negative comments about it. So I did, "You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you." Then I stripped away the second part of it. Then I started changing like the introduction, and I brought the very first thing I was saying was, "You came here for the truth." So I don't know. Like I've been trying to just change every aspect, like little tweaks here and there. I still have it in the, where is it? Like upper corner when you first come into the channel. That's the first thing you're seeing on the videos. But I don't know. I don't really know why. I just didn't fit in the new sort of shrunken introduction, but trust me, we're still here, still unifying around the truth. It's probably something that I got to bring back. It's probably something. Love the taglines. Haters gonna hate. Yep. Tagline's awesome. Don't change it. Yeah, really. Like over the years, like I'm doing this 10 years. I don't know when I brought that initial line out. It's been many years, but I've received messages from people like over and over and over. Love the video. Your tagline is stupid, and I'm unsubscribing. Like something like this. It's just, yeah. I don't know what to tell people. I mean, whatever. But that's all good. The tagline, yeah, liking it. I was watching a video of growing, by the way, I know there's so many people into self-sufficiency, growing mushrooms from a bucket. And the guy did such a great job with it. I think it was oyster mushrooms. And it was really awesome to see that. You could take a bucket and you could take some wood chips and a little bit of I forget the term, like the spores or whatever, and then to create like food from it. Like it's just amazing. It's amazing how it works. Can you talk about deflationary pressures in the future with respect to automation and services becoming cheaper if they don't employ as many people? Yeah, so there's a lot of talk. Kathy Wood always says, like, this is fantastic. We're going to be replacing humans with robots, and that's great deflation. Yeah. But I think this is a problem. I think this is a big problem, personally, because the rate, remember this, new technologies have been coming out, despite what Kathy Wood says, new technologies come out every day. New technologies didn't start in the 1990s. They didn't start in the 80s, 70s, or 60s. Since the dawn of time, we have been seeing new technologies being developed year after year after year. And these things, slowly but surely, eliminate the need for the old way, and we bring in the new way. But the rate at which things are increasing today, example, let me think about that. Like, let's say the automated cars, okay? Autonomous cars. I think they're very dangerous based on what I see. But anyway, they seem to be going in that direction. Let's say tomorrow we're in a world of autonomous cars everywhere, or even let's just say the next few years. We have probably millions of people around the world that drive Uber and Lyft and all these different companies. Their jobs will be complete. Like, a lot of people would say, if it was deemed to be safe, yeah, I'll go into that car with the robot, no problem. Now I don't even need my own car because I hit 2 buttons, my car is there. Why do I need my own car? This is cheaper. I could calculate it out, it's cheaper. Excellent. I don't have to deal with a guy. He's talking on his headset. He doesn't know where he's going. I'm, trying to have, do I tip the guy? He's talking to me. I'm trying to sleep. All these different things about it. And now, you hit a few buttons. That's it. Anyway, the point is, it's happening so rapidly that it's displacing the jobs. That's the issue. Not the fact that there's new technologies. New technologies are coming out all the time. So that's the way I see it. And of course, there's robots in the workplace as well. Robo-advisors. So in the financial world, robo-advisors are a big thing, and they will take over. Like, imagine the robo-advisor, you put your money in, and what it does is just invest. So you go to the bank, or you do it from your bank's app, and it's called robo-advisor. Okay, I want to talk to a robo-advisor. They make it seem a little bit human-like. You hit a few buttons, and now what's it doing? It's just putting you into a Vanguard ETF and then charging you the spread. Let's say they charge you like 3% as the mutual fund, and really all they're doing is investing in S&P 500 Vanguard index and Vanguard ETF, and then they make a few percent on that, and that's your robo ETF, and the guy's happy because he's getting back 7%. He's saying, "Look at this, is amazing. My robo-advisor made me more money now than that other guy I used to have, and I was paying him all those fees and so on." So people are going to be more happy with that, and they didn't have to leave their house. They click a few apps. The advisors, they're losing their shirts. Oh, this guy's here. Thank you for the support. Oh, this is funny. I appreciate you throwing cash. Cool. Appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate that. Books and Foraging Mushrooms. Bought my still today. Awesome. Good stuff. There's so many things that just, the grandparents' generation and so on, they had these skills and the knowledge and the know-how, and everybody in the older generations had a garden. It's weird if you didn't. And if all they had was a balcony, that balcony was full of herbs. It's just the way it is. You weren't going to go to somewhere to buy the herbs. You just put a pot on your balcony and you grew them. Why? It just seemed like the obvious thing to do. So now, because we have the internet, the information flows. You didn't have to communicate necessarily with your grandparents. You just search it up online and the information's there. Good stuff. If you keep trying to capitulate to the people, then eventually everyone is watching other people, not you. For sure. For sure. Love the tagline for the first time I heard it. Thank you. Naysayers, keep up the good work. Can't possibly please everyone. Yeah, for sure. The way you talk about Janet Yellen, I can't tell you if you're an actual fan of your views. Well, that's part of the mystery. That's part of the mystery. Right? Nobody really knows. Is it true love? Thank you for the support. Appreciate that. Thank you. So we got 269 people in the house, 205 likes. Don't forget to hit that like button. Or if you're like that guy who's saying weird comments, hey, hit the thumbs down. But if you want to hit one of those buttons, they're right down here. All good. Appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, so Evergrande is a big company. There's no doubt about it. I've been covering this for a little while, and they're just one of the companies that seem to be failing, but it's a big one. It's a big one. Now, the government steps in, and they sort of save the day, but they, just like with Fannie and Freddie, they didn't really save it. It's like a bandage over a bullet wound. Like it's not saving it. It's just, as they say, rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. What could happen? I don't know. I don't think that it will. I don't think that it will spill over into the globe, but we'll see. Regarding Burry's 20-year bond short, thank you for the support, David, by the way. What prevents the Fed from raising interest rates and buying bonds at the same time to ensure the bond market doesn't crash? Let me think about that. I don't know. It's possible, but in order to keep interest rates low, they have to print money. Could they still be printing money like in a while from now? Yeah, absolutely. They do so through the open market operations. And open market operations are the way that they set their interest rates. Could they continue to do so while keeping the interest rates in check as they want? I guess they're always doing it regardless of the interest rates. We just haven't seen that kind of world in such a long time. It's always been decreasing. So now if we're moving into a state of increasing, do they want to, like the way I see it is the Federal Reserve doesn't even want to protect the bond market, the stock market or anything. That's the way I see it. They don't want to help it. They want to control it and they want to create a crisis. But they want to have the maximum amount of people, the retail investors, the maximum amount they can. They want to squeeze every little dime out of them, and right at the peak, they pull it. And they pull it, and they make that happen. Why? Because this allows the elite to have much more control and to have power consolidated. As you can see, examples I'll talk about in just a minute. I'm going to pull this up on my screen again to show you. Thank you for the support again. Learn to grow tobacco and make moonshine. Screw the mushrooms. Whatever floats your boat, I guess. Whatever you like. Absolutely. Thank you. It's not about money, it's about control. Yeah, 100%. That's the primary. And it's always during a crisis where they can attain that. It's not during prosperous times. Like think about right now, there's so many 401k millionaires, right? There's so many people who their house, the equity in their house has made them rich. Do you think that the multi-billionaires of the world like that? Do you think they like that? No. They would love to see their $100 billion net worth become $50 billion for a period of time if that means there's more people that are unable to make ends meet. Because during these times, they're going to say, assets are cheap. Let me go in with my unlimited pocket and buy whatever we need. Let's make it happen. Best $5 I spent. Thank you. You're welcome to ask any question. I'm trying to answer as many as I possibly can. They just come so fast. Gold and silver to enter a bear market. I don't necessarily think so. The way I always see gold and silver is you save them indefinitely. That means you hold forever. You don't sell. Why would you sell something like that? I'm not sure. If people are playing it, they bought GLD or SLV or something, different story. But if you're holding physical metals, in my opinion, it doesn't make sense to sell it. You would pass that on to the next generation. That's the way I see it. You're basically betting against the devaluation of the currency, which we see today. Now, in terms of the price, who knows? Because that's the futures price, right? In any crisis, what I always say is when all else fails, then they turn to gold. So that's when I could see. That's when I could see that kind of thing happening, right? So, where was your quick video for people with margin accounts to buy oil futures when I was trading in the negative? I don't understand. Where was your quick video for people with margin accounts to buy oil futures when I was trading in the negative? I'm not really sure. So I don't give financial advice. I'm not really sure. There are lots of guys out there who they'll give you the tickers. If you're looking for tickers, there's a lot of different channels. They love to give the tickers. So I don't know, whoever's looking for that, there's a lot of options. Definitely. Do you think the unintended consequences related to the stock buybacks and asset acquisitions with cheap debt are unintentional? Or do you think the Fed was trying to help regular Americans? I do not think that they are trying to help the regular people, the middle class. Okay, let's say that first. I can say that. I do not think that they were trying to help anybody out, but they may unintentionally help people, but then crush them later. That's the whole point. You get people in, make them wealthy, 401k and home equity kind of wealthy, and then crush them at a different time. So I can cover that right now. Again, if you weren't in here a little while ago, you wouldn't have seen this. Let me just cover it quickly, guys. I know if you were here before, you saw it. Let me just quickly touch on it. Okay, very quickly, to define a taper. In this case here, the taper is not a reduction of the balance sheet. It's a reduction of how much they're printing per month. Right now, they are printing $120 billion a month, and they intend on reducing that. The thought is they'll reduce it 10 trillion on the treasuries, 5 billion on the mortgage-backed securities, okay? And then they just continue that, and it would end, the money printing would end in 2022, July. Many central banks have already begun a taper. So the Federal Reserve is behind. ECB, Australia, Canada, they have all tapered. They have all begun tapering. In addition to that, there have been 24 rate increases in 2021 on a global level, at least. That's by my count. Next thing is the big deal, these two next points. The Fed doesn't want to support the markets. The Fed wants to ensure that their shareholders' wishes actually happen, that they take place. Okay? The Federal Reserve is controlling the markets. They don't want to necessarily perpetually make them rise. And why? This is why. A crisis is when the maximum consolidation of power and control happens. You can look at that historically. I cover a few examples here. But the globalist elite always attain maximum wealth during these periods. That's the unintended consequences. That, hey, I'm going to get more control. You have companies, these media conglomerates that keep swallowing each other up. I think there's now 5 companies that own something ridiculous, like 96% of all media. What do you think happens when 96% of all media is owned by 5 companies? What happens to your media? Yeah, it's all the same. All right. And it's not during bull markets. All of this doesn't happen. You see the market. Oh, the market has increased by 300%. Wow. It took 10 years to do this 300% or 5 years or whatever it might be. This is amazing. Yeah, the elite love this. No, they don't. They make way more money when everything crashes. Way more. Especially those in the shadows. Okay, when you're talking about people that have wealth over generation, 100, 500 years going through how much wealth through all their families and all their connections, and then you start to see who's really in control, okay, and what they do time and time again. Look at the Rothschilds funding both sides of the wars. Look at they lent money to the government back then. Greece, example, more recent example. Greece forced to sell off islands, airports, and other assets during their crisis. Okay? You had Steve Forbes coming in. If you remember, Max Kaiser's quoted saying that he saw Steve Forbes and he's saying, hey, it's awesome. Greece is in this situation. I'm buying stuff for pennies on the dollar. Warren Buffett buying so much during the financial crisis for pennies on the dollar as well. He went in, Bank of America. He bought Geico at 96 or 98% off. These are when the big things happen. Not. I mean, sure, they also benefit when things rise. But the consolidation occurs during the crisis. All right. So that's my little rant. I'll put your, thanks for the support. It's awesome. Thanks. Here's a chicken dinner on me, bro. Thank you. Thank you for support. Whoa. It's getting serious in here. Uh-oh. Taper, I don't know about that. Well, we're going to see, right, what happens. Like I said, hey, Chaz, like I said, it's not something that is new. Other central banks are doing the taper right now. They've already done so. Yeah, the Rothschilds are an interesting group. You study their history and understand, I've covered it to some degree here. I mean, you can only say so much on this platform, but they're an important family, their connections. Peter Schiff that says the Fed will never taper. They might talk a big game, but they won't do it. Yeah, because he's not looking into it at the level that I am, in that they want to create a crisis. So he's looking at only like top layer stuff, Bloomberg, CNBC layer stuff. And I know Peter Schiff, I've read 4 of his books, I think. So I'm not saying he's not on the right page. I'm just saying that he needs to dig back a layer and start to see the reality. I agree with you, Chaz. It's going to be an interesting one. It is. Hello from Australia, Prison Island. Yes, thank you for support. It's a crazy time right now, locking down and things. But look at the UK. The UK kind of seems like they're going away from that, right? So it's a surprise there. It's a surprise there. So I read that news. They're kind of going away from it, and I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I just know personally that all of which we have seen right now leading up to these events has been just very unusual. Like there's so many things that's, I've read a lot of history. I am obsessed with history. Historical information is like, I don't know, people love to watch, what's a show? Game of Thrones, okay? I remember so many people talk Game of Thrones. I would see, the last episode, I remember there's a Starbucks cup or some coffee cup in the episode, and it was all over the place, and everybody's talking about this. I never watched one episode of it. I heard it's a great show. I don't like that stuff, and that's okay if people like it, but I'm just trying to say, where people put their attention, that's where you're going to get the most out of it. If that makes any sense. If you put the most attention on your business, hopefully you're going to see the most out of it. If you put the most attention with your family, you're going to get the most out of that, out of those connections, and so on. Oh, is this guy still? I appreciate your support again. So you're spouting advice through this whole video, but you had no advice for people with margin accounts when oil was in the negative. I just don't get it, man. What's the, like, what are you trying to accomplish? I just don't, it's wasting everybody's time. It's really wasting time. I guess so. I do not believe that central banks could stop printing. The question is the timing of when the whole thing comes to an end. They already are slowing down globally. Like on a global scale, they have reduced the amount of money that they printed. The video I believe I posted this morning shows that actually in a chart form, we are down significantly from the peak. But who knows? Never trust a live day politicians in the UK or not to be trusted. Yeah, well, that's for sure. We'll see what happens, I guess. When do you think is going to be the breaking point? Do you think the Fed is going to wait for a collapsed market or is going to take a rate hike before it happens? Hard to say. Hard to say. If interest rates do rise, it's going to be obviously very devastating, both on a psychological level for the markets, but also the impact that it has because it needs that cheap, easy money. It needs that drip. But I think that ultimately, we'll see a lot more towards like FOMC meeting. If the FOMC meeting comes, they say they're going to taper. That doesn't like day one, it's like the market just falls down. It's not how it works. They're still printing money. So they're going to be printing presumably $105 billion every single month. That's a lot of money to be printing. Now they're reducing that at a pace over the several months, so we'll see. But, that's sort of my first indicator to figure it out. October, usually a bad month. Okay, it's when actually September is bad month. October has a lot of big events that happen historically. So could there be something in October? I don't know. I'm not so sure. But it really all hinges on what the Federal Reserve is doing. I believe they want to create a crisis. I believe they want to create problems. That's what I have documented historically. I've shown that in my first book. The people who have read my first book know exactly what I'm talking about. I documented that, made it very clear every single time. They do it every single time. It's not really any different. Could they just keep pushing the expected data to taper back until that point of total control? They could, but at this point, see, the problem is there's multiple levels to it. But you got to remember, they've made it known. We will not touch interest rates until the balance sheet is taken care of. All right. So what does that mean? Based on the pace that they're suggesting right now, July 2022 is when this time frame here is when they'll stop printing money. Okay, so they'll have a balance sheet. Who knows? Whatever it is, $9 trillion. So the balance sheet is $9 trillion. They've stopped printing. It's July 2022. Now they can start to look at, can we raise interest rates? But the time between now and July 2022, assuming that pace that they do, which is pretty aggressive, assuming that pace, what is inflation going to be by then? If it's this crazy now, what is it going to be in July 2022? I think we've got a problem. That's what I'm looking at as it relates to the Federal Reserve and their actions. So they're saying that the digital yuan, China's currency, is it backed by gold? First of all, I don't think so at all. There's like certain things people have said are just, they're not based on fact at all. Could it be like, would that be a good thing? Of course, but no, the digital, especially the new way to do things is for the government to simply control everything. If you put gold, then the government doesn't have control over it. I don't know why people say that China has been secretly amassing a whole bunch of gold. Like, I don't see the the reason why. Jim Rickards says that that's what's happening. I don't know. To me, if it's being done in secret, there's really no point in that. What are they printing money secretly and then buying? They're buying the gold with secret printed money. Like, are we devaluing the currency that way? Why not? Why have 30,000 tons of gold? Why not have 1 million tons of gold? Like, why not just print it up and buy everything? I'm not sure. But the digital yuan, I think all of the currencies right now are being set up to have their own central bank digital currency, and this is going to be interlinked. They're going to interlink them somehow. So I think in a future crisis, maybe not necessarily the next crisis, but in a future crisis, all of the central banks are going to unify under a new central bank digital currency sort of, like, I don't want to say like a one currency, but they'll have, like, for example, the test they're doing right now with the BIS, the Bank for International Settlements. They've got about 4 or 5 different countries that are doing a test together. And the BIS is at the center of it. Could it be something like that in the future? Yeah, absolutely. How far do you think the West is from a social credit system being established in China? So realistically, I think we're probably less than 5 years away. To some degree, probably a little bit lighter. But yeah, I would say 5 years or less. So that's my guess. So I don't talk about what I invest in because I don't give financial advice. So I just keep everything, to me, everything is kept private. That's just the way I do things. There's a lot of channels out there who talk about what they do and they show their Lamborghini and all that stuff, but I don't share anything. I just give you the data and I stick to my own private self. I hope that's just explains it for you. Lance, thank you for the support. You should have bought Bitcoin when it crashed in April 2020. Commodities are trash unless you're holding on to gold and silver. Nice. Good stuff. Yeah. There's been some opportunities, there's no doubt. And think about, like, for those who love Bitcoin and Chaz, if you're here. Chaz, you here? Chaz is gone. Chaz loves Bitcoin. There was a period of time, if you remember, where Bitcoin was at that 8,000-9,000 range for the longest period. And you didn't have to time it at all. There was such an opportunity. If anybody wanted to get in, there was several months where it was there down at that 8,000-9,000 range and could have run that all the way up to 60,000, and it absolutely destroyed the stock market performance. So if people really want performance, I mean, if people are looking, if that's the reason they're buying stocks is for maximum appreciation, well then, like, the cryptocurrencies have, in many cases, have outperformed it by many, like, in some cases, orders of magnitude higher. But anyway. Yeah, this company here, Palantir, I don't know enough. I really know very little about it, but I just know they talk about it on Reddit, and anything that's discussed on Reddit is generally, a sign that we shouldn't be looking at it. That's just the way I see it. When will the Fed send the helicopters to every major city and drop that cash? Oh, that lovely, lovely cash. We can see the Federal Reserve, the helicopter is going to take off and going to deliver your precious cash directly to you. You can sit there and just hold your hands up and it'll be delivered. When? I think, my opinion, something I've been playing with in my head for a while is how do we get people to accept a new currency system that is controlled by the Federal Reserve and by the elite. You simply run a UBI program through it. So I think what happens is central bank digital currency provided by the Federal Reserve, give people free cash through it, universal basic income. They will sign up on the dot. There's no problem. Millions and millions and millions of people will sign up. They'll say, hey, it's free money. I'm taking it. And now they're on their system. So that's kind of raining cash, except not from the literal sky, but it'll be flowing into these new accounts controlled by the Fed. That's that's a guess, of course. I have no idea. But that's the way that they can easily get away with that system and make it happen. Wow. Good stuff. So proud of you. Done a great job. Done a great job. Good stuff. What changes have you made to your portfolio to weather the imminent storm? So I don't talk about specifically what I do, but I can only say in general, what people should be doing is to always prepare for conditions to worsen, always hedge against the inflation that we're seeing today, and never stretch yourself too thin. I think that's really key. One of the most important things right now is because of the chaos that's brewing, people that are reliant on one income are in big trouble, in my opinion. I think that the income source, so I talk about this in the PDF that I'm preparing now, but essentially the income that you have should not be derived from one particular geographical region. Like, for example, if you have a business that's in Detroit, if it's let's say early 1900s, you're okay. If it's 2000, you're not so okay, because the economy changed over that period. But if you sold in Detroit and you sold in places in Europe and Australia and so on, hey, that's fantastic. At the same time, if your business can operate without you physically being in that location, so you sell to people wherever around the world, and you don't need to physically be there, I think that that's important. So these are things that are very unconventional. People don't look at it like that. They just say, I just want maximum appreciation on my portfolio, bro. I just want maximum appreciation on my portfolio, bro. And that's not the stuff I look at, because there's so many channels out there that are telling you those ticker symbols to get on in, and it's great. I just look at different stuff. I provide an alternative view. I provide an alternate view. That's all. Janet brings David stimulus. That's right. That's right. Yeah. Neuralink, I think it's mostly at this point, I think it's just a show at this point. Could they get to a place in the future where that kind of happens, like what Elon Musk says? Perhaps, sure. But I don't know, like, there's so many things that we've been told before, and just like, when is this thing happening? Like, you made it seem like it was happening tomorrow, and it's not happening now. I would love to see certain things, like for example, people that are unable to walk and things. If we can help those people, I mean, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Absolutely. Government will use UPI to get people to convert to digital currency. I think so. I really do. But nobody really knows until it happens. Where was your video on such trades? I don't know. I don't know what you're saying. Where was your video on it? Why don't you make some great videos, Bruce? Why does someone need to fit it for you to have a great knowledge? So I think some people are really, unfortunately today, and I think it has a lot to do with what the water supply and so on, and maybe it's childhood trauma or what have you, but people have problems and they have conditions and things, and they're out in the real world, but they're not capable of dealing with like real world things, right? So people are troubled internally, and it's unfortunate. Some people, it's hard. They can't really keep themselves together. You know, they're kind of on the outside, they're kind of there, but internally they're not. And I've seen that many times. So that's all right. You know, you do what you can, right? I'm waiting for it. It's impossible to make money in this kind of environment, just being just workers. I prefer deflation, not to be able to afford a house again. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Things are going crazy in terms of the price, and everybody's just chasing a higher and higher and higher, this goal of trying to get to these higher levels of things, and really, there's no sense, real there's no real reason to have your house appreciate 30% in a year. I mean, historically, that's strange, right? And you're pricing out people who just want to buy a house. Like, it's not supposed to be something that's supposed to be crazy expensive, but it is. It's unbelievable. Kevin, thank you so much for your support. I appreciate that. Thank you. Folks looking for what to do in this market but caught in the fear channel. No, there's a lot of like, just go to CNBC, go to half of the YouTube channels out there, and they're all giving financial advice. So there's a lot of places you can just go. And quite frankly, there's, I've heard specific, I won't say the name, but I've seen in the very, very short clip that I saw of one, the guy said, Tesla 1250 by this date, no brainer, it's gonna happen. Oh yeah, for sure. That is literally financial advice, something they're not allowed to give. And as long as the markets are generally moving up, everybody's happy. If the markets start to move down, all of these people are gonna have pitchforks. Okay, they're gonna get the pitchfork treatment, and that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing, right? Yeah, so the Apple Epic Games. So of course, the CNBC articles came out instantly and said, don't worry, it's not negative for the company. Don't worry, not negative for the company. What it does is it gives people and businesses an opportunity to move their in-app purchases away from Apple. I think that's the way I understood it, which is beneficial. It's beneficial for these businesses to have a little bit more freedom so they don't have to go through Apple's system. So that's great. But they said apparently it doesn't do it full justice. At least like the Epic Games, I think it was the CEO said something like it doesn't do it justice for the company and for others as well. You know, who knows? Who knows what it's all about? But you're playing on their system. They're going to control it. Sellers on Amazon know the deal. They change the rules every 3 months, and you just got to adapt. You don't want to adapt. You got to get off their platform. That's it. A lot of people, they switched over from Amazon to Shopify, and they run their own ads through Facebook and Instagram simply because they can't take the nonsense of Amazon. But the people that can take those Amazon's playing games all the time, people who can handle that, they can actually provide themselves with income. How do you break the hypnosis? Sudden interruption or gradual change? For myself, are you saying, or are you saying for other people? Like if I'm going to help somebody out, I guess regardless, you take your time with it. You always take your time with it because a lot of people are unable to deal with change very well. They don't adapt very well. So you want to, go slow with it. Like if there's like 10 levels, level 1 is like the lowest level, 10 is the highest level, and you're at level 1, you don't want to try and bring information from level 10 because it's not going to, you can't even really comprehend it. You got to go level by level. It takes longer, but that's just the way it is. I think that's the way I approach it. Gotta come like your videos. Thank you for your live videos. Appreciate that. Yeah. What about Bitcoin? What about Bitcoin? What do you want to know about that? I think that like we've gone away. The original Satoshi Nakamoto white paper and where we are today is a complete departure from that original. But I think at the same time, we've got something that is potentially being, a place where people can transact outside of the normal system to some degree. And that's positive. I like that. The Money GPS NFTs. I thought about it. I mean, what can I create an NFT for? I'm just not sure. I just don't understand the world. I don't understand the world of NFTs for the most part. Like where the money is at today. I get it's artwork. I get it. I get NFTs in that respect, but it's like, why are people buying like a pixelated image of some character that nobody cared about yesterday? It's not like the Mona Lisa, and then they put an NFT on the Mona Lisa, and then they, give that out, or it's being used as like in tickets to verify that this is a valid ticket, not counterfeit, and you could use an NFT related to that. I get that. But like you're buying like 6 pixels on a screen, and it's like CryptoPunk 2622. Like to me, that has absolutely no value. It's just greater fool theory, in my opinion. What is better, Seller Central or Vendor Central? Depends on what you want to do. For most people, you're going to be going Seller Central. Burry has a massive put against Tesla. Yes, he does. At least last time we saw, right? Mike, thank you for the support. Can you explain deflation related to all this money printing and your thoughts on gold and silver? So what the general thought here is that as they print more money into the system the way that they do, this is creating deflation simply because the monetary velocity declines. If that money is just sloshing around the Federal Reserve and some, in their reserves and so on at their central bank, and it's not being loaned out into the public, this is a deflationary event. If they do what they're doing now and offsetting that money printing by using all this stimulus packages, they're thinking about sending the 4th stimulus check out. They're trying to pass the $3.5 trillion bill. They passed another one just recently. They're trying to do all of this pumping money in from the fiscal side, from the government side, then that is inflationary. So you've got the two kind of working against each other. I don't know why there's some people that talk a lot about deflation. They don't ever talk about that aspect of it, which I find weird because they've printed so many trillions of dollars or pumped in so many trillions of dollars, or at least promised to do so. Maybe they haven't really given it up yet. And my thoughts on gold and silver. I have many videos about gold, and the same thing applies to silver. Ultimately, I narrow it down to one line. So you could search for gold, the Money GPS, and you'll find the videos. Look at the ones I did. I think I did a couple last year, and that kind of summarizes that. But if I were to put it to one line, it would be when all else fails, then they turn to gold. All else fails. Not when times are tough or times there's volatility is rising. When everything fails. When everything fails. So. All right. Saw the mushroom bucket video. Good. Thank you, everybody. I'm gonna stay for a couple more minutes. This weirdo in the chat has been here for an hour and a half. It's kind of weird. It's actually even weirder than just putting a comment on the normal videos. It's actually staying around for an hour and a half to put comments. It's actually a lot weirder. Do I feel like the system has been designed to fail? Yeah, the system is being designed to control. That's what it is. So you suck retail investors in, they feel so knowledgeable, they feel fantastic, and then you crush them, and you do this through these methods, many different methods that they've been using, and then the cycle repeats over and over again. People have the memory of goldfish, and so they can't see the cycles as they repeat, and that's it. Thoughts on the U.S. job market? People potentially losing jobs versus Amazon degrees as hiring bonus. So I don't think the first thing you mentioned there, which I can't talk about too much, but I don't think it will have an impact personally, just because so many people are in favor of it. And so there will be people that, walk off or whatever, but they can get tested instead. So they don't have to get it. They can get tested instead. That's the rule. For those who force them, they can go for the testing route. Annoying, but still give them an option there. And Amazon offering the degrees as hiring bonus. I talked about that on one of my videos at the end. I found it to be very strange that they would do that. I'm not sure why they would do that. I can't come to a real good conclusion as to why. Because it's expensive. It's extremely expensive. So why? It could be just kind of just a lure, knowing that, hey, once they start making the money and they work all these hours, they're not going to go ahead and do the school thing. Maybe. They also need a lot of good publicity, right? So we'll see. Yeah, Jim Rickards seems like a comment. I don't know. Like, I should contact him for an interview and just ask him, ask him what he's thinking. Okay. Kathy with deflation theory. Yeah, like I talked about this earlier in the episode. Basically, just trying to say, like, she's talking about deflation. Okay, there's all these new technologies that are here: 5G, Internet of Things, robot cars, and so on. Yeah. But there have been new, like, tech didn't start in the 1990s. Tech started at the beginning of time, and we have developed new technologies over the years, over and over and over and over again. New stuff has been coming out. And so, like, the whole thought that, like, we're in a new era, like, every year is new. Every year there's something that's never happened before. So that, I don't know. It's just really just to, like, push the agenda of what they're trying to do. And it's all about maximum growth and so on, and I get that. And so, it works out in the good times, and it doesn't work out in bad times, so we'll see. Long time lurker, love your videos. I'm in gold, tech, healthcare, considering buying calls on airlines, crypto, and puts on service, retail, real estate in November. Come November, opinion. I can't give financial advice. Calls on airlines and crypto. So I think that the airlines, obviously, if we're gonna see more closures, border closures, and so on, well, obviously that's not going to be good. The prices are probably still down quite a bit from where they were before. Hotels, kind of the whole travel and tourism space, is still much weaker than where it was. But I mean, I haven't looked at any of the technicals right now, so I can't give you specific advice on that anyway. But look at the personal service, retail, and real estate. To be honest, I think the weakest looks to me like commercial real estate. That's just the way I see it. There's just no hope for it realistically. Commercial real estate looks weak, and it looks like that will persist. No, in Amazon, there would probably be a requirement that you have to earn the degree while working. They hire by contract. Maybe. It certainly could be. So I just find it weird. Maybe if the person has a degree, they find that they stick around longer, or they're more obedient. Like, I don't know what it is. Do I think there are people shorting the commercial mortgage-backed securities? They are. They are to a quite a heavy degree, but they're not at the bottom. Like things came down 2020. Oh my goodness! Then people started buying them up. Why? Because they wanted to attract like more. They wanted more yield, and so they were actually buying these things. So I haven't looked at it recently, but you can check out any of the CMBX, 6 or 10 or whatever the different one. Those are all those derivatives. That information's public, so I could do a new video about it. How bad can the supply chain get? We will find out by the end of the year. I think it's just going to continue to get worse by the end of the year, barring any unforeseen events. If there is some sort of major problem that occurs throughout the period, yeah, then that could change. But if things keep doing well and the economy is so fantastic and the fairies and unicorns are flying around the sky, well, that's not the case. We'll see. Thank you for support. Streaming on locals and Rokfin when? I'm not sure what that means. Streaming on the locals. Sorry, I don't know what that means. Rokfin. Could you clarify? What books do you recommend on economics? If you want to know, like the basics, you would read "Money Master the Game" by Tony Robbins for a good baseline information. Because he interviews Dalio and Buffett and all these other guys and gets a lot of good information that way. And then you could also read Principles by Ray Dalio. There's a little bit. I finished that one, and there's a little bit of stuff in there. But I think it gives people like a good underlying foundation for their knowledge. But if you want to know the deep stuff, you have to read G. Edward Griffin's book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. The Creature from Jekyll Island. Great book. You could stream on locals and Rokfin sites as well. I've never heard of that. Locals and Rokfin. I guess I gotta look into that. The service I use is StreamYard, and StreamYard allows me to basically just in one location I could stream to Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and that's all connected in through this chat. And I could put as you can see right here, the questions come up, and it's linked to the YouTube account so that people could do the super chats. So if I use another service, I don't know what can be linked to it because I got like 5 things happening at once. It's really difficult, but anyway. So I appreciate the support, by the way. Opinion is not advice. I appreciate your opinion. Thank you, Eric. I'll email you links to your much better streaming sites. There's also Streamlabs. Streamlabs I heard about. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Please send me it. I'll take a look. Any new guests coming up? I haven't lined up anything yet. I'm in a strange situation right now. Very little time, but because it's hard to coordinate the timing. Also, I would just say that so far what I've seen is that performance of the interviews have been absolutely terrible. So I think people generally don't want to see the interviews. I will still be doing the interviews. We got some spam in here. That's cool. It's kind of weird. It's kind of disgusting. So I will be bringing more. I've got many names lined up. A bunch of people said no. So I got to do what I can, obviously, right? But I'm definitely bringing in more people. All right. That is it. I'm telling you, haha, margin calls, dudes, this already happened. The only thing we don't know is the date. Well, the most common thing is that everywhere has all their important dates. Yeah, of course. We'll see. But yeah, it's a global event. It's a global event at this point, right? 100%. Public street corner. Personally, I just find the typical, like, the general public is just so out of it. Like, it would be hard for me to ask questions and not feel very bad about all of it. And I don't want it to come off as being sarcastic or rude or anything like that, because people are just in this unfortunate state. Like, you've got this strange character, like these kind of people. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's probably childhood problems or whatever, but you get a lot of that when you're talking to people on the streets in any big city. And it would be difficult. And then you put together the information, you put it all, you spend time, and then few people work. Look, I'll be honest with you, like the channel doesn't make money, right? So it doesn't make a lot of money. So it's the amount of time that I put in, I have to watch out, essentially. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, that's all. Thank you. Thank you, Nathan. I appreciate that. Just sending my lunch money for tomorrow to say thank you. You continue to grow big. I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody. Just their support and love and everything. It's awesome. And even the weird guys that show up and give money, thanks, I guess. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's, yeah, whatever. But yeah, good stuff. I'm looking through here. I'm going on way too long, an hour and 36 into it. I think it's time that we end it off. My throat is done, and I gotta go on recording the video for tomorrow morning. So I appreciate you being here today. Thank you very much. The next live video will probably be next Friday, so stay tuned for that. But every day I'm bringing out new content all the time, so definitely check it out. I'll see you on the next one. Take care, everyone. Thank you for being here.